that these two FBI agents say he wants to know everything.
No, because a quick Google of the timeline says what they're talking about. This text was on September 2nd. 3 days later, President Obama goes to China, where he is confronting Vladimir Putin on his interference in the U.S. elections. So what he is trying to get is all the information on Russia's interference in the election. What is so concerning about this is that the Republicans are taking innocuous and, in this case, responsible actions by the president and by the FBI to fight back against an enemy of the United States who is attacking this country and twisting it around to try to make it look nefarious in an effort to smear law enforcement.
Was President Obama at the time concerned about the fact that Sidney Blumenthal was feeding information to the State Department to give to Christopher Steele? Was he concerned about that?
First off, there's absolutely no evidence of that. But second, there is, and when we're talking about in this instance, when we're talking about these texts, where you guys are trying to cherry pick texts in order to smear law enforcement, he is talking about. Yes, it is.
No, it's not. Don't assign and prescribe something like this. And you know what? This is not one of those issues where Republicans get on one side and Democrats get on the other side. That is not one of these cases.
It is because
if President Trump had done this to a candidate, say Cory Booker running for president,
what did he do? What did he do? There was the FBI investigation did not become public until after the election. The FISA warrant against this Trump associate
spied on a presidential campaign.
No, they did not. Was Carter Page on the campaign in September in October?
So you're saying
no, he was not. So he's a former campaign official. So he didn't spy on the Trump campaign. These are the lies that you guys are telling.
Hold on, guys. I think everybody kind of needs to chill out a little bit with this thing, because what you want to do is look at these and say, well, what do they tell us, right? What do they tell us about what their intentions were?
Yep.
It is odd that they're saying, meanwhile, we have our task still ahead of us. You don't think there's anything in here. You know, if you think it's all political, put the shoe on the other foot for a moment, right? If these were, deep state Democratic, Republican operatives that you thought were coming after President Obama, or that they despised him so much that they were willing to come up with an insurance policy to affect his presidency, that wouldn't bother you?
I think that if every single one of your text messages, Martha, were released and everyone went through them.
That's not what I'm talking about.
No,
I'm talking about these text messages, Zach, that you looked at.
Yes, I am.
If the shoe was on the other foot, you would have no questions
I'm saying there's already evidence that what the Republicans are doing is cherry-picking words. Like, for example, the secret society conspiracy, where they cherry-picked two words, secret society.
They got over their skis on that. I would agree.
Yes,
would you agree?
Zach, wait a second.
Secret society. Wait a second. Let's remember, I think it's important to tell people what it was about.
You never answered my question.
It was actually about a secret society where they would get together and they exchanged calendars of naked Putin photos. That was the secret society that was to take down Donald Trump.
That makes me feel so much better.
And now you guys are saying cherry-picking insurance policy.
Time out.
I'm giving you a break.
But
Peter Strzok
you have to be able to be objective enough to look at it and say, gee, I didn't really think that FBI agents who were working on cases related to the election would be quite that outward about how much they despised the candidate. I think that's no matter what side of the fence you're on. I think you got to look at that and say,
which is why they were removed from the investigation.
Great point. But we need to know what happened before they were removed. But I do want to I want to shift gears to one more thing here before the question of Andrew McCabe having the Wiener laptop emails in the end of September. But James Comey came before the American public at the end of October and said these were just brought to my attention. Then we're told there's 650,000 of them. There's no way we could get through them quickly. Then, miracle of miracles, they get through them quickly. But now we know probably the reason they got through them quickly was because they had them for a month. So why would Andrew McCabe have sat on that for a month, Zach? Why do you think?
I mean, let's be clear. If I would have loved for them to release this a month before the election, as opposed to what they did, which was 10 days before the election, which is one of the reasons that sank our campaign. This is actually one piece of evidence that the FBI was probably in the tank for Trump and not Hillary Clinton because of what they did in this particular instance.
Look, the only one that causes problem is Hillary Clinton. So don't go out and try to blame somebody else. I was the chairman of the committee that called Mr. Comey. No, it didn't.
Yes, it did.
No, I absolutely.
They came back and said there was nothing.
You're never going to agree on that point. You're never going to agree on that point.
When Director Comey was there, though, when Director Comey was there, he assured us that the case had been closed and that there were no other resources. And they were obviously spending resources. That's why he had an obligation to come back to our committee and send me a letter letting us know. But why did they sit for a month? And I'm telling you, that's a legitimate question.
Sure.
right?
Again, from a political perspective, though, I would have loved for it to come out at the
sure
end
you
of
would,
September,
yeah.
as opposed to
You
right
would have
before
loved
the
to win.
election.
They were banking on the fact that Hillary Clinton was going to win, and that none of this would be exposed.
You're using
that
this as
was
some
the
sort
only
of
thing.
example that they were in the tank for Clinton, where this clearly helps Trump. This is another example of the FBI helping Trump. So what the hell are you guys talking about?
Then you should join us in demanding how the FBI was acting so irresponsibly.
There is an
Mr.
Inspector
Strzok-
General investigation
Yes.
happening right now.
That's right.
So, like, why are you guys calling for more investigations when there is currently an investigation? This is an attempt to smear law enforcement,
No, it's
and you all
not.
should be ashamed of
Stop it.
yourself.
My grandfather was a career FBI agent.
Then stop what you're doing.
No,
No,
stop
stop
with
what
the
you're doing.
allegations. Stop with the allegations that we
Stop
don't love
what
law
you're
enforcement.
doing.
We love law enforcement.
It's really
That's why we're going to
disgusting.
fix
All right,
it.
let me tell you something. You know what? I think everybody agrees that, and President Trump has said this many, many times, that this is not about the rank and file of the FBI. Everyone expects their work. I think every one of us knows people who either work in the FBI or so. No one.
They're
the
literally
idea that-
targeting rank and file,
No,
going
that's
through,
not
going through their
true.
text
They're
messages,
not-
cherry
He's the
picking
head of
information.
counter-espionage. Strzok is the deputy assistant director for counterintelligence.
I don't
This is
understand
not some
why,
rank and
what-
file
what's
guy.
wrong with wanting to understand what was going on here?
Because
That's
it's not
what I
being
don't
done in
get.
good faith. Because it's not being done in good faith. Because every time every time that there's been an attack on the FBI, it's been debunked. They said Andrew McCabe is a Democrat. He's actually
You
a Republican.
attacked the FBI.
They said that they were missing text
You're the ones that
messages.
have been attacking him for
No, you know what?
blowing
I'm sorry.
Hillary's
There's
election.
a difference between criticizing the FBI and doing what the Republicans have been doing, with calling for purges of them, comparing them to the KGB, saying they're engaged in a coup against the president, saying that this is an effort to assassinate Donald Trump. These are not.
All right,
Everybody
these are
saying they want to
guys, you know what?
assassinate the president.
It happened on this network.
It's been a great discussion, but I think what you have to, no institution should be afraid to have light shed on what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely none. So there's no reason not to do these inquiries and to make these investigations.
There is
If
one.
it turns out that there was absolutely nothing untoward here, then that's what should be revealed in it. But there's no reason not to be curious, not to ask these questions. There's absolutely no reason, and nobody's
But they
besmirching
need to be done
anybody.
in good faith.
I
These
do
are not being
think-
done in
Absolutely.
good
Well,
faith.
that's what we're doing here every night.
I
gotta go. You guys are awesome.
Okay.
Thank you very much for being here. We'll pick it up again. All right. So the question: do we have a deal for the